dignitaries, distinguished speakers, dear all. I'm happy and honored to be here. Many thanks for this opportunity. Normally, I interact with engineers. I myself am a fuel cell engineer working on hydrogen technologies. But of course, there are interesting developments, especially in energy-related technologies, and we are starting to look seriously at bioenergy opportunities and biohydrogen and bioenergy for fuel cells, etc. So I think it's sort of a bit natural that I am now starting to get opportunities to interact with such a gathering here. Thanks a lot once again. And about myself, I'm a chair of energy conversion at University of Groningen in the Netherlands. It's a 500 years old university. And I also act as a director of hydrogen economy at the university. And why hydrogen in this region, and why there is a directorship for hydrogen? I'll come to that. But something interesting to note is there's a massive wave of renewable energy now that's taking place. So if you look at the introduction of renewable energy technologies in large scale, so first stage probably we had technology development, small scale pilots, and then local, regional systems. But now renewable energy introduction is massive. It's expected to be massive with significant investments and changes in technologies, changes in practices, and this also brings in opportunities, many new opportunities also for the plantation sector. Now, renewable energy is also becoming cheaper. See, one of the recent agreements, so we had, from Middle East, less than 2 cents per kilowatt hour for solar energy. So this is a serious change. And if you think of a fuel like one liter of petrol, we might get say 40 megajoules, roughly 40 plus, and we might end up paying 100 rupees for that. And if you have 12 units of solar energy, we might get similar energy output for input for any application, and 12 units of solar electricity will cost only 24 cents, meaning 25 to 30 rupees. So it's possible to think of even solar energy for heat. So that's where we are heading to. But if we have, so renewable energy is becoming seriously cheaper. We could even think of solar electricity for heat, but there are also problems. This is if we use the energy when it is produced. We get solar electricity when sun shines. We get electricity from wind turbines when there is wind, but not when we really need. This actually means we need storage, and day-to-day storage with batteries is relatively easy. But imagine, so if we have sunshine during daytime, we produce electricity, we store it in a battery and use it in the evening, and we buy a battery, use it every day, that's okay. Now imagine seasonal storage. We would like to store electricity produced from solar panels in summer and use it in winter. So in summer, in 1st of July, we need to buy one battery to charge it and using it in 1st of February. 2nd of July, we need another battery. For 100 days, we might actually need 100 batteries. And that's going to be very expensive. So seasonal storage with batteries will not work. So the world will need fuels. And if we have global warming becoming more serious a problem, we might need even carbon-free fuels. And then hydrogen is emerging as an interesting option. It's also emerging as a cheap option. And so stored energy is becoming important, and hydrogen is one option. And the place where I am coming from, I'm from Kerala, I'm from India, but where I work at University of Groningen. And Groningen is the first hydrogen valley of Europe, and also the first best hydrogen valley of Europe. It's actually an important place for this transition. And Groningen is also, it used to be, till 2022, it was the largest natural gas field in Europe. So it's an energy city. It's an energy province. The largest natural gas field in Europe, and they have completely stopped natural gas production. Completely stopped natural gas production because of small earthquakes. And earthquakes, if you have a lot of solar electricity or wind electricity, and if you need it, if you need storage, then hydrogen production is an option. Electrolysis is a technology we use, and we end up producing hydrogen for, say, €2 plus. Some companies in India are very optimistic. Reliance announced a $1 per kilogram hydrogen program, say $1 per kilogram in 10 years. This is what Reliance announced. It's a bit optimistic, maybe 1 plus $2. That should still be okay because the energy content, the calorific value of hydrogen is roughly 3 times when compared to other fossil fuels we have. So it need not be expensive if we get hydrogen at this price. But then, it's also possible to produce hydrogen, say at €2 plus, from biomass. Well, one approach is to go for gasification, and it's a bit tricky and complicated technology, but there are also these easier options, and I will come to that. So it's possible to produce hydrogen at €2 plus from biomass. This is an opportunity for plantation sector. And this is an opportunity taken seriously by many, and I will come to that. Now, hydrogen is important. A start fuel is important. Hydrogen is becoming an easier start fuel. It's also a carbon-free fuel. And where I come from, Groningen, the North Netherlands, this is a first hydrogen valley in Europe. Hydrogen valley is a well-defined space, region in which we actually have the complete hydrogen ecosystem, different types of hydrogen production, storage, transport, and utilization, all brought together in a well-organized way. And so this is a first hydrogen valley. I moved from TU Delft. I was an associate professor at TU Delft, working on hydrogen fuel cells. But then this hydrogen valley opportunity came. I moved from Delft to University of Groningen as a full professor and also director of hydrogen economy to provide knowledge support for such a transition. And this is not only an academic activity. But universities are certainly needed. So we have something called a triple helix organization. Government, industry, and academia all working together to bring in such a change. And we have an organization called New Energy Coalition. Their office building is actually in our department building. So we work together. But why Groningen? Because it's the largest natural gas field in Europe, meaning it's connected by pipelines to other places in Europe. So if you think of natural gas pipeline in Europe, one end is Russia, maybe the other end could be, say, Groningen, one of the. And natural gas storage facilities are there. So the infrastructure for energy production and transport, it's possible to find in North Netherlands. And there are, say, 20,000 plus technicians and professionals working in the industry. Now, because of earthquakes, small earthquakes, nobody's getting killed, but the buildings are damaged, etc. So the government decided to stop natural gas production completely. And this happened in 2022. Now, if the energy economy there to continue, one option is hydrogen. Because North Sea is very, North Sea wind production potential, 100 gigawatt plus, is reasonably recognized. And if you have large-scale electricity production from North Sea wind systems, Groningen could be the first landing point for this energy for mainland Europe. So you produce hydrogen using wind electricity in the region, use large-scale salt caverns in the region for hydrogen storage, and use repurposed pipelines for transport of hydrogen from Groningen to other places in Europe. So this is the hydrogen opportunities in the region. That's why it became the first hydrogen valley of Europe, and also the first best hydrogen valley of Europe, or the hydrogen valley of the year 2022, etc. So it's a major initiative. And that's also one reason we actually have several global partnerships emerging, well, academic and industry to industry, etc., in the region. So if you look at, so you have different production methods for hydrogen. You have hydrogen trucks, hydrogen buses, hydrogen transport pipelines, underground salt caverns, all being tested and tried in the region. It's a full hydrogen ecosystem being developed with several large-scale energy companies, etc., getting into to this business. And other countries are now trying to follow up. So there are close to 100 hydrogen valleys coming up across the globe. India is planning to have 4 hydrogen valleys. So Department of Science and Technology came up with a competition. 4 states are now selected. One is Kerala, the second one is Pune, third one is Rajasthan, and fourth one is Orissa. So 4 states are selected, and Kerala Hydrogen Valley, so they are not formally announced, but they are selected and announced, but it's not formally signed. So hydrogen valleys are coming across the globe, meaning that if you produce hydrogen, maybe using biomass waste from tea plantations, coffee plantations, it might be possible to find consumers. So that's the message I actually want to convey here. But if you have, I myself am an academic, right? I also present things from an academic's perspective. So if such a massive change is happening, knowledge support is important for research, but also for training. If you have 20,000 professionals to be retrained, so then we need universities and other organizations all working together. We developed something called Hydrogen Valley Campus Europe. So that's also, as the director of hydrogen economy, my main responsibility, connecting with the companies, research institutes, and the universities and the government to build the knowledge platform to support such a transition. And if you really think of massive, say, biofuel transition in India, we might also need such practices. So, for example, this triple helix consortium. So, similar initiatives will have to be, say, thought of for also Indian conditions if you think of such massive changes. Anyway, so hydrogen is a carbon-free fuel. And if you use hydrogen, then we could still keep, if you use hydrogen from electrolysis, we could still keep CO2 percentage without change, right? So we use solar electricity, we split water vapor, we produce hydrogen, we use this hydrogen as a fuel. But maybe that's not sufficient. So if you know the journal Nature, Nature is one of the Nature and Science are 2 of the most respected journals, right? So Nature came up with an editorial in 2018 February. Well, if I read now, this is from 2018. The Paris Agreement gave politicians an answer: negative emissions. Technology to reduce the amount of carbon already in the atmosphere will buy society valuable time. The IPCC is now working on a report on strategies to keep warming to under 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is due to be published this year in 2018, so it's already published. By necessity, those strategies will lean heavily on negative emissions. And scientists must continue to spell out to policymakers the harsh reality of what this would involve, and in the strongest possible terms. So negative emission technologies are extremely important. And biohydrogen is exactly such an opportunity. So it's not only about scientists interacting with other societal players, including governments and industry. It's all becoming important. This is the core message from Nature editorial. And this was immediately followed up by a position paper from 2 senior professors from 2 of the most well-known technical universities in the world, MIT, Boston, and Stanford. And they suggested if you really look at very large-scale negative emission systems, biohydrogen is such an opportunity. So we need to bring together biological sciences and engineering sciences. Now, if you look at biofuel production and integrated water and soil management, soil carbon management, etc., in plantations, this is exactly such an opportunity. So that's also why University of Delft and University of Groningen, together with a couple of IITs, started supporting the Wayanad Carbon Neutrality Program, because we found such an opportunity. We found it as an opportunity for Wayanad, but we also found it as a global opportunity to use modern science in bringing in societal changes. So this is the starting point for us, the universities, for the Wayanad Carbon Neutrality Program, in which we actually have several negative emission technologies employed. So the Wayanad partnership It's an ongoing program. It's farmer focused, so doubling farmers' income, building up climate resilience, etc. Very important. It's government supported. Also Dutch government through an organization called NL Works. It started by Dutch government, Ministries of Economic Affairs and Foreign Affairs, together with the Employers Association of Netherlands. They also are supporting this. Kerala government is supporting it. We have Government of India support, and multiple researchers and research institutions, etc., all active. And if you look at what's the program, well, it's about shade coffee conversion. Well, I don't say shade coffee conversion because coffee plantations in Kerala and also in Wayanad are shade coffee plantations, but we could still increase tree cover. Now, increase tree cover and connect it with soil management, soil carbon increase, production of biofuels, and so introduction of renewable energy whenever possible, not only bioenergy, but maybe even solar energy wherever it's possible. I'll come to that. And food production. So if we have agroforestry systems, so instead of coffee only or tea only, well, tea, then it's a bit more tricky. I'm not an expert, so I could actually go wrong. And my apologies in advance. But at least if you think of jackfruit, jack trees, or rambutan, mangosteen, etc., all in coffee plantation. So if we have food-producing trees, this brings up the opportunity for bringing in food technology and food industry, together with biofuel production and the part of carbon going for soil management, all supported with advanced technologies such as remote sensing, artificial intelligence, all when needed, advanced food technology and food industry initiatives. And why Netherlands and food industry? It's a small country with 1.5 crore people plus. And it's the second largest processed food exporting country in the world. So it's the second largest processed food exporting country in the world, and that's because of food processing knowledge, farming and food processing knowledge in the country. So we thought it's a good partnership to build. Now, well, science and technology is being used, but I think this is an interesting slide. So this is an Indian Express report. We had a Dutch team coming up, Dutch delegation visiting Wayanad. We also had so the team also collected coffee samples from Wayanad, organized cupping sessions in Netherlands, and we found, well, we meaning the team members, found 80 plus for coffee from Wayanad. And that resulted in coffee board also getting involved, well, not involved, organizing large-scale coffee cupping sessions, and then some of the farmers were selected and they were sent to Copenhagen, the World Coffee Conference, one of the World Coffee events, this 2024. And this newspaper report is from this year. Wayanad Robusta Coffee shines at World Coffee 2024. This is from 2022. A Dutch team visit next week to push Wayanad coffee to the world stage. So it's all about bringing science and technology, but always keeping farmers first. So that's what we are trying to build. So, but these are okay. Many papers reported this. Okay, this is from, I think, Hindu reported, Indian Express, all newspapers from Kerala, and so we are not only looking at technology, but we are always looking at farmers and the farm products. And all this concept is written into a paper, a research paper, negative emissions at negative cost, meaning income generation. So it's possible to think of introducing negative emission technologies, especially in plantation sector, with income generation. So the details, if you like, please feel it's free to download paper, and this is published in a special issue of Frontiers. Frontiers is a journal, in a special issue edited by myself. I was one of the editors, together with Dr. Ray Rui from MIT Boston, and Professor Shah from Imperial College London. We three were the editors. Several of the Wayanad connected papers are actually published in this special issue. Our approach and the scientific foundations and the basis. So we have a couple of publications detailing out the program. But in simple terms, it's about intercropping, so instead of monocropping. So coffee, reduction of fruit yielding trees, and if you do that, well, as you all know, we have possible extra income from food production, maybe in certain cases timber, and the biomass could be used for producing biofuel and biochar. Is it readable? Okay. So biochar could be used for soil amendment. And if we have such an approach, we might end up sequestering around 10 ton CO2 per hectare. And if you do that, and if you look at the extra income from biofuel, from timber, from food produce, etc., we might also be able to double the farmer's income. So that's what the guess we have, the hypothesis we have at this stage. Now, this is not only our thoughts. Academia are certainly finding interest, and we talk passionately about new technologies and new opportunities. But when it comes to consultancy companies, they digest these developments a bit and they start writing. Then the world also start listening carefully. This is from Boston Consulting Group. And what they wrote, I think it's from last year, biogas can help global shipping go green. And if you look at now companies like Japanese car makers, they're all together, working together. I think Suzuki and, I don't know, at least three companies working together came up with biomethane-based engine for their cars. This also happened this year. So biofuels are being taken seriously, especially as storable fuels. And biogas, bio-CNG production. Removing CO2 with scrubbing or filtering out and compressing it. But the bio-CNG as a fuel could be used for transportation applications. If it is for shipping, it might become bio-LNG. And such developments are certainly bringing new opportunities for the plantation sector. And now about Government of India. So this is from the Minister, Honorable Minister Gadkari. India, farmers and biohydrogen. So soon our farmers will produce green fuel and green hydrogen. And Government of India is coming up with plans and policies for supporting this. So this is certainly an emerging opportunity, also for the plantation sector. Now, so we try to bring in all these technologies and opportunities in our Wayanad program. So in Wayanad program, it's all about shade coffee conversion wherever it's needed, otherwise more trees, planting more trees, and using a part of biomass for biofuel production, carbon for soil amendment, all supported with advanced technologies such as remote sensing, bioenergy technologies, soil amendment and water management taken together, timber for construction, etc. Also, there is a new concept introduced, tree banking. So if trees are planted, and if we use remote sensing, and if we have a platform to monitor the growth of trees, then it might be possible to use these trees for loans for farmers. So normally, if you plant a tree, you can sell the timber after 40 years, right? So, but if you can actually if you can monitor tree growth properly with the help of remote sensing, and then we can actually convert these trees as bankable assets. That's probably one way to encourage farmers also to think of planting more trees, together with developing a multi-product ecosystem. Well, together with this, agrivoltaics is also emerging. This is from Department of Energy, the United States. So wherever there are not trees in large plantations, it's possible to think of bringing in solar photovoltaic systems. And you might actually think of other fuel production, including water splitting and hydrogen production from the plantations, or using electricity for other applications with microgrids, etc. So there are plenty of new emerging technologies, and Government of India is also seriously taking, also looking at these technological developments very, very seriously. So why not coffee status and achievements? So there's a new company called Kerala Coffee Limited is formed by the government to support the initiative. There are science and knowledge activities as of now. Several farmers, small-scale farmers were selected at this stage. That's what's happening. Several, and some of the farmers were actually even sent to Copenhagen for the coffee event. And this program is now supported by several organizations: Coffee Board, Agricultural University, Technical University, IITs in India, TCS, Tata Consultancy Service, and University of Delft, University of Groningen, and many other universities from different countries. So this is a coffee program, but such opportunities we could actually probably find also in other sectors. Tea, it might be possible to think of intercropping and maybe shade trees in tea plantations. Production might come down, but it might be possible to compensate that in different possible ways. And one funding opportunity, at least for Kerala, it's emerging is KERA program. It's a World Bank program with close to, say, $300 million, and it's for sustainable farming. And it's not sure that we will be able to get funding from this program, but we have serious discussions. And there are many such opportunities emerging. And if you look at KERA, it's about resilience and mitigation in agriculture, agribusiness and food systems, enhancing also smallholder commercialization for value addition, etc. So that's a major program coming up. But also bio-CNG. If you look at, if I understand correctly, I hope I'm not wrong, Government of India is thinking of investments above 1 lakh crores for bio-CNG production. All oil PSUs are now seriously involved. And so it might be possible to team up with oil PSUs and large-scale plantations for bio-CNG production. It's actually the first and easiest step for bioenergy introduction. So if you look at all other plantation crops, I gave a coffee example. Similar opportunities, except tea, cardamom, coconut, etc. Farmers' income enhancement might be really possible, all the while building up climate resilience. So integrated soil, water, and energy management. Because soil carbon content, we thought about carbon biochar for soil amendment and increasing soil carbon content. As of now, Idukki, Wayanad, etc., we actually tried to measure the soil carbon content. We found it as close to 1% in most places. If you look at Netherlands, it's between 2 to 4%. Carbon is porous. It helps with water retention. And it also helps with nutrient recycling, and it might help with, in bringing down chemical fertilizer usage. So you can actually have an integrated approach connecting all this. Bioenergy, there are emerging investment opportunities, and there are investors looking for opportunities to work together. I know that there is at least one company willing to think of willing to invest 100 crore rupees if there is a major partner for agro-waste to bio-CNG. Also, there are many such opportunities emerging. And bio-CNG, probably an immediate opportunity in India. Maybe starting with bio-CNG, probably expanding to biohydrogen in the future. So these are some of the new opportunities in addition to, say, becoming an active player in the energy transition that's taking place all across the globe. And it's also an opportunity to introduce new technologies. If you introduce remote sensing for whatever, tree growth monitoring, or soil carbon measurement, immediately you can also use these systems for monitoring the state of the health for plants, control use of fertilizers and pesticides, etc. So it's an opportunity also for bringing in new technologies. And there is one university, University of Groningen, one of the most famous agriculture universities in the world. It's from the Netherlands. And so a couple of years ago, they actually they're called as a technical university now, not an agriculture university. In the Netherlands, there were three technical universities, Delft, Wageningen and Twente, and we had a federation, 3 TU federation. There's a 4 TU federation now, with Wageningen University also called as a technical university, because I think farming is becoming so technology intensive. And this is probably an opportunity also to think differently and bringing new technologies. That's all from my side. Thank you very much.
So, any questions? You can sit by my here. You'd like to have?
Doctor, thank you for promoting the biogas. Glad to hear that. Of my customers, Albertsons and Walmart, they are into it. Just a question of curiosity, in India, have you ever done the production of a biogas? And what was the cost of production per kilo?
Okay. Now, Indore is known as the cleanest city in India, right? And their cleanliness program is heavily supported by a bio-CNG production unit, 500 ton per day domestic weight. And if I understand correctly, I'm not the right person to come out to give these numbers, but they expect somewhere between 40 to 55 rupees for producing 1 kilogram of bio-CNG, and the market price is close to 80 rupees. And
80 rupees, okay.
Yeah, this could be produced locally and could be consumed locally.
So you say it's cheaper than our fossil fuel?
Exactly.
Okay.
And the bio-CNG buses, bio-CNG trucks are all possible now. So there could be local opportunities for production and utilization, thus helping the local economies.
Just another question, it's deviated from the topic that you said. Today, the fossil fuel produces a lot of carbon, but in a different shape, carbon monoxide, to be more precise. Somewhere down the presentation, you said that we could store the carbon. We could store the carbon, and we could put it back to the Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried that on a fossil fuel?
Sorry?
Have you ever tried that on a fossil fuel?
No, but it doesn't make sense, right? Because if we well, CO2, well, it does make sense. Sorry, my apologies.
Because you said about CO2.
Yeah, no, CO2 capture and storage is being seriously considered by many countries and companies. But then still it's a carbon neutral approach, right? It's we might need negative emissions. We might have to bring in even CO2 bring down atmospheric CO2 percentage. So CO2 storage is being looked out, especially depleted natural gas fields, etc., or oil fields. That's being seriously looked at, but it only adds the cost. It's never, here we are trying to find, say, income generating opportunities. But if you add CO2 storage to any fossil fuel system, it only increases costs. So it's being tried out. It's still technologies are being developed. It's important to work on those technologies, but also there are other opportunities.
Okay. Are there any companies today in India promoting biogas or utilizing the biogas? Any sector?
Well, all Indian oil PSUs. So okay. BPSL, IOC, they all have formed JVs with other players in bio-CNG production and utilization. And if I understand correctly, maybe I'm wrong, this is, Maruti is seriously working on switchgrass to bio-CNG with very large farm for this. And and all these Japanese companies, they worked together in coming up with a biomethane engine last year. So there are companies, and I think also the large oil companies are private sector energy companies like the Adani Group and Reliance, etc., are all seriously looking at the opportunities.
Okay. Thank you.
Neutral or carbon negative and monetize from that. See, our existing plantations, if you look at it, you are asking to add on things by doing biochar, doing other things to increase the value. If you look at our plantations, the existing crop itself has got a huge potential. I would say from 40 to 200 metric tons of carbon is getting sequestrated every year in plantations. But we are not looking at that fact. Okay, neither are we looking at ways how we can monetize this for the benefit of the farmers. We are asking them to do things additionally, like biochar. Biochar is not an easy project. It is a very expensive project. It is not easy for small growers to do it. Ultimately, what happens is that they will not get the benefit. So existing plantations, to understand how much sequestration can be done by changing agronomic practices to enhance the carbon storage in the ecosystem and benefit from it will be a major area. Is what my concern is, like.
Thanks a lot. It's a very interesting question. This is not rocket science, but it's a very tricky field. It's a very slippery field. So, forests. So, if you have a stable forest ecosystem, maybe there is no carbon sequestration, continuous carbon sequestration. Carbon is stored 400 or 500 years ago when the forests, or thousands of years ago. But otherwise, all the carbon CO2 taken in is somehow emitted back because soil carbon doesn't change, number of trees doesn't, that's not changing, and the carbon carried by the trees, it's also not changing. But if you destroy the forest, all this carbon will come back. Now, the plantations, it's true that as trees grow, as plants grow, carbon is taken in. And if you use it for construction, so if you have biomass-based construction, might be possible to store this carbon for next, say, 50 to 100 years. And countries are looking at this seriously. Japan, for example, there is a city in Japan, they are looking at a 40-story building all from wood. And in Scandinavia, they are thinking of building a new city completely out of wood-based construction. So if you really look at such possibilities, then plantations might help in storing carbon. Otherwise, it's a bit tricky thing. And so soil carbon percentage, we have seen in Wayanad and all 1% plus. Maybe we were expecting 2 to 3% at least. And if we actually could change soil carbon percentage by 0.25% plus globally, the global warming problem maybe is over. So soil carbon is very serious. Farming, if we do it carefully, might result in, and biochar is not the only option. Simple mulching, even simple mulching when it's done, well, I cannot say scientifically because nobody has really looked at how to do mulching for soil carbon increase. Or even irrigation, in certain cases, increases soil carbon. So there are different ways to look at soil carbon increase, and plantations could definitely contribute, but all this need to be properly understood. And even now, you don't have quite a lot of publications looking at all these opportunities and risks from all different angles. So more science is needed, and scientific efforts are also needed. And that's why maybe plantations and the leaders of plantations should work with academia to come up with very reliable practices.
Only things that are slightly different from what you mentioned is that plantations and forests are different. Normally there is a general conception that forests are going to sequestrate more carbon. It is not. Plantations are growing species. As the growth increases, as the girthing increases, the plant density increases, cover increases, sequestration increases significantly. That is one fact that is very important. And second thing is that depending on the crop that you are growing, the sequestration is at different levels. You are looking at soil carbon, but there are things like rubber. It is sequestrated in the wood of the plant. And that is again getting into furniture or whatever it is happening, it is getting completely fixed, which has got a huge potential. But these things are not getting monetized, or neither the grower is able to get any benefit from that.
That's true.
Another thing is that there is the process, it's so tedious that if a grower wants to go into a program and monetize it, it is impossible.
Yes.
Very, very expensive, very difficult, and ultimately it doesn't reach anywhere. By the time that he fits into the various definitions of what is required to be done.
Yes,
That's
I completely agree with you. I think, rubber is interesting, and especially if you use rubber wood for construction.
So we'll just take one more question because of time. You can go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Doctor. Thank you for the presentation. So I'm Gloria, a research scholar. We're working on nanomaterials. So we're in a collaborative project with Norway University. So currently we are working on CO2 adsorption, developing materials for CO2 adsorption. So we have already tried with, preparing activated carbon from tea waste, which has the essentials. Whereas now for carbon, CO2, not just CO2 sequestration, so we face a challenge in, using the adsorbents for the CO2. And then in, the further process, because we are again polluting the earth when you just dispose the same. So we are working on, the emission, CO2 emission, to capture the CO2 emission from large-scale industries as well. So do you have any suggestion on how to face the challenge for this one?
Okay. I have a PhD student, fully funded by industry, automobile industry. And she is looking at, I work on solid oxide fuel cells. In solid oxide fuel cells, you have two electrodes and an electrolyte in between. This electrolyte allows oxide ions to pass through. And it goes from air side to fuel side. And nitrogen is separated. So what you get at the fuel side is CO2 and steam. You cool it down, you get CO2. So without solvents, it might be possible to separate CO2. And also, if you look at large-scale hydrogen economy, all this hydrogen is produced with splitting water vapor. You produce oxygen. And you use oxygen and for burning biofuels, and then condense out water, you still get CO2. And you don't need a solvent. So there are different approaches, but of course, science and technology development is needed.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Also, for hydrogen production, do you recommend the production from biomass over the ones which are taken from metal oxides, where we produce hydrogen at a laboratory cost?
Sorry?
We produce hydrogen using metal oxides, right? So do you prefer that or the more from biofuels?
We need to look at all the technologies, and biohydrogen is certainly interesting.